Hi, I'm Renee Seltzer and welcome back. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to cover insidious sugars. What is that? Those are sugars that are found in everyday kid food that sometimes we don't even expect to have as much sugar as they do. They're marketed to kids. You know, there's Ninja Turtles on them. They have things that say, no pesticides used, and they really make an effort to make you think it's going to be really healthy for your kids. And then lo and behold, they have a tremendous amount of sugar in them. So today I actually have a cool experiment that we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how much sugar is in the foods that you're always eating. So in other episodes, we're going to cover what does sugar actually do to our bodies and why we should reduce it. Some of the reasons, because it's important to even know why it's so important that we reduce the amount of sugar that our kids are eating, and to be honest, ourselves too as parents. It gives kids acne. Sugar's been linked to depression. Sugar's been linked to obviously obesity, stroke, heart disease, and of course type 2 diabetes. And if you don't think that's really an issue that's going to plague your child, even if your child is skinny and eating a tremendous amount of sugar, they actually show that there's a link with how much sugar a child eats and not necessarily their weight. So we'll have all the studies cited below, and make sure you check out the other video that's really going to hone in on what sugar does to the body and why it's so important that we take sugar down and how much kids are eating. There's actually a couple different kinds of sugars that we're going to cover. None of this experiment covers natural found sugar. So the sugar that is naturally found in milk, we don't count it. The sugar that's naturally found in fruit, we don't count it. We're actually just talking about the sugar that is added to our food, right? In actual, this kind of sugar. And sugar has 79 different names on labels, which is insane. So we're going to have that too. And it can be called a lot of different things, and the reason that manufacturers do that is because they're kind of throwing you off the scent. They do it in really tricky ways. They put a couple different kinds of sugars, so they can make each sugar a little bit lower on the ingredient list, but overall it adds up to a tremendous amount of sugar in these goods, right? So we're going to talk about Lunchables and yogurts that are seemingly healthy. We're going to talk about tomato sauce, right? You wouldn't think tomato sauce is contributing to the obesity, but it can, especially certain brands. Cereals and milks. One of the things that happens is when we give our kids these kinds of cereals that don't have a lot of fiber, that have a tremendous amount of sugar in them, and then maybe like a chocolate milk or an orange juice or an apple juice, thinking, the orange juice is great for my kids. What happens is their insulin's going to spike at school, and then their blood sugar is going to go rapidly down. So that's going to cause them to crash. And what happens when a child crashes, they have a harder time to concentrate, they have a harder time with their memory. So it really doesn't, they have a lot more outbursts in class because they're struggling with not being able to concentrate. Also what happens is you get kind of that hangry, that real mad, or I'm hungry, and your body's craving another snack or another meal, because it's dealing with processing all this sugar. So what happens is we all care about our kids' academic future so much, but when we give our kids Pop-Tarts and children's cereals that are filled with sugar, we're actually hurting them when they go to school. So they're not able to concentrate, they're not able to focus as well. And what we want to do is really focus on high fiber foods. In addition to their milk, which doesn't count, and their fruit, that doesn't count, because those are naturally found sugars. We're talking about added sugar, the white stuff. For a 4 to 8-year-old, this is as much added sugar a child should eat in a day. Okay? That is 3 teaspoons of sugar. I'm going to show you that when I added up just a couple of these ingredients into a day, and I'll show you what that included, this is how much sugar a child could be eating in one single day. Imagine that compiled over 7 days, and you keep adding it over a month and over a year, right? Just compounding and compounding and compounding. That's a tremendous amount of added sugar. That's actually one of the reasons that diabetes in our country is going from 1 to 10 people to 1 to 3 people by 2050. That means our kids, 1 in 3 kids might have diabetes by 2050. And they won't be kids anymore, they'll be adults by then, having their own kids. So you gotta really think about, do I want my child to be eating this much added sugar in one single day? And that's not even eating any cakes, any brownies, anything sweet, and no soda. That's pretty crazy. So let me show you how we got to this number.
So what is the maximum amount of sugar for children a day? Children under the age of 8 years old should have less than 4 teaspoons of added sugar a day. If you think about it, a Capri Sun has 3 teaspoons in just one Capri Sun. So it's really easy to go over that 4 teaspoons of added sugar a day. According to the American Heart Association, 4 to 8-year-olds are now taking in about 21 teaspoons a day of added sugar. And that's not from fruit or from milk. It's added sugar. So instead of the 4, they're getting 21 a day. Teenagers are even worse according to the journal Circulation. This is how much sugar teenage boys and girls are getting per day. So it does vary. Boys actually take in more sugar per day than girls, and a lot of that can be contributed to sugary drinks, sodas, Gatorades, things like that. Boys are getting 29 to 34 grams a day, and girls are getting 23 to 24 grams a day, about. The maximum for this age group is about 5 to 8 grams of sugar per day of added sugar. Wow.
So how do we get to this amount of sugar in a day? And I'm going to show you it's these insidious sugars that you don't even know your child is eating. You got some cereal, you got some orange juice, you got a PB&J sandwich for lunch, right? Didn't add anything extra in there. We added a yogurt, you know, as like maybe an afternoon snack after school. And then I added tomato sauce with some pasta. Did you know that tomato sauce has 8 grams of sugar? 8 grams of sugar, the way that it works out is every 4 grams there is a teaspoon of sugar. So 4 grams of sugar equals a teaspoon. So just in this ragu, there is 8 grams of sugar, right? There's 2 grams in the pasta. So right here we have 10 grams of sugar. We have 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. I bet you didn't even think that there was sugar in your dinner because you're thinking, my child's eating something healthy, right? I didn't include any cookies, any candy, anything. So when you add up the sugar just from this, that's how much it equals. That's kind of insane, don't you think? And you would think, well, my child ate a balanced meal. They got some protein from the peanut butter. They got a yogurt, which is healthy. They got orange juice. They got tomato sauce. Come on, that can't be true. So what happens is when you look at how much sugar everything has, this Simply orange juice has 33 grams of sugar. So just this orange juice, this is how much sugar. So that's actually what made up the majority of it, right? Well, how can that be? Orange juice is healthy. It's made of oranges. Well, what happens is when they go to squeeze this orange juice, they take out all the fiber. This in itself has this much sugar. And I'm constantly, we write tons of articles on feeding my kid, and I'm always saying that really juice is the next junk food. And almost any doctor that really studies sugar and the effects on the body will tell you, cut this stuff out. Absolutely get rid of it. Because all they do is they strip out the fiber when they make the juice, and it's just the straight sugar of the orange. And it's multiple oranges. Like if you gave your child an actual orange as a part of their snack and some water, you would cut out probably 80 or 90% of the sugar just by giving them an actual orange. So really all of this, when you feel like, oh, this is so overwhelming, there's so much sugar and I don't even know how to get rid of it, give your child the fruit and really cut out these fruit cups, cut out the orange juice, the apple juice, these yogurts. Go ahead and give them whole yogurt, Greek yogurt, add some almond butter, not the stuff that has sugar added to it, but actual peanut butter or almond butter without added sugar. So we're gonna go through how to read the label and how to make sure you're not giving your kids extra stuff. And then make sure you check out that video on what the effects of sugar are in our kids. So I just wanted to say that we're striving for progress, not perfection. No one's saying that you have to go completely sugar-free in your life, and if you don't, you're a bad mom or dad. We're not saying that at all. Just the idea of pulling back on a teaspoon here and a teaspoon there, that really adds up to 30 teaspoons by the end of the month. So your kid would be saving this much added sugar by the end of the month. So again, go for progress, not perfection. And if your child eats a cupcake at a birthday party, we're not completely sugar-free in our home. Our kids go to birthday parties and have a piece of cake. The goal is really to kind of think about not the cakes and the candies and the Oreos, but really to think about once they get the dessert, What else did they have throughout the day? Did they have those yogurts? Did they have that cereal? Did they have, you know, all these Pop-Tarts and just other foods? If they're eating a lot of them throughout the day, if they're having Gatorade, it really adds up to a lot of sugar. So this is our opportunity to kind of start looking at labels and identifying sugar and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this instead of this. I'm going to give them homemade oatmeal, rolled oats, instead of buying it out of a package with a lot of added sugar. That's all. I make rolled oats. You could do it overnight. You could do it in a crock pot. You could do it in the morning. It only takes about 5 minutes for me to make it. I smush up a banana, I put some flaxseed, and I put some cinnamon, and they have a tremendous amount of fiber to start their day. We have very little tantrums in our family because we just don't get any food coloring and we don't get a tremendous amount of added sugar. We do eat some dates and we eat some prunes, and you know, we get some dried fruits, we get regular fruits, and that's really how I look at just our meal. So that's one of the biggest things. A lot of times I hear parents saying, hey, I have no control. You know, my kids really want this food. You have a lot of control as a parent. Don't let it in your house. It's okay if they get it once in a while at a party at someone else's house, then it becomes a treat. We call things treat foods. But these are not growing foods. So I really make sure my kids get oranges. They just don't get the orange juice. They never get apple juice. They're not allowed to drink their calories. The same thing with chocolate milk. It all goes. If you have it in your fridge and you can afford to, throw it out, okay? And then start fresh. Give your kids water moving forward. Like I said, they'll throw some tantrums, and the tantrums are worth it for their long-term health. So just deal with the tantrums. After a week or two, they're not going to even mention it anymore. And that's it. You've moved on. You're helping your kids reduce their chances of diabetes, heart disease, stroke, obesity, acne, tooth decay, because drinking sugar water like this is actually the leading indicator of getting tooth decay, and that's actually one of the biggest health issues children have these days. So this is no joke. You don't want your kids to have rotted teeth and have to go get all kinds of dental work done at a small age. I knew somebody that was getting $1,800 of dental work because they had apple juice instead of water all the time. And I'm pretty sure the parents didn't want to pay that $1,800, and the kid didn't want to go through the pain of all that dental work. So just go for water. It's easy.